Hello, it's Lola Berry here. I am so excited to be working with Coles. And these guys, these are kalettes. So two of my favorite foods, kale and Brussels sprouts coming together. They have this beautiful, sweet, nutty flavor, which is why we're going to make a sweet and healthy treat using these guys. They are available exclusively at Coles. You can buy them loose too. Come and join me for a healthy treat. Kalettes are the hero of this dish. There's two ways I like to use them in this recipe because they are so cute and these little leaves are really dainty. What I'll do is I'll rip off a few of the little leaves into the dish, but then what I'll do is I'll just really finely kind of like chop the rest of it. So it's kind of like, I don't know, like a little sprinkling. And then when we've got our big green leaves, I'm just gonna chop it. The trick is you kind of want to chop it really, really kind of finely. And I chop it all the way down and it's gonna get a little bit stalkier and thicker, which is great because that's the roughage, that's the fiber bit. It's kind of like the health benefit, or one of the many. So yeah, so I'm doing a mixture of kind of like ripping the leaves off, and then the bigger guys, we're gonna chop so they're kind of like finely sliced. Really cool thing I learned about kalettes this morning when I saw someone snacking on them, you can snack on them raw too. So if you're hungry, while you're chopping away, have a snack. All right, so I am gonna end up putting about a cup of kalettes in this recipe. All right, so we've got our kalettes in here. So I kind of look at these guys as a bit of a superfood because they're so nutrient dense. We know kale and Brussels sprouts are so full of goodies, magnesium, great for stress. This really is a superfood brownie recipe. What I'm using as the flour part of it is almond meal. So that means that this recipe is going to be totally gluten-free, grain-free, and dairy-free. If you didn't want to make it gluten-free, grain-free, dairy-free, you could totally use a flour that you like to use. You will notice regular flours will rise much faster. These are kind of like a real dense, kind of mushy brownie, which is why I love them, to be completely honest with you. Okay, so we've got our almond meal going in there. Then we've got some chopped up medjool dates. Now, medjool dates are different to other dates. These guys are more caramelly. If I hold one up and kind of rip it, you can kind of see that it's really like caramel. It's like a real treat, as opposed to if you buy regular dried dates, they're much drier. So in that case, you might want to soak them in water. You won't need to if you buy medjool dates, which they stock in the refrigerated section at Coles. Okay, so whenever I make something sweet, I always like to add a pinch of cinnamon to it because that helps to balance our blood sugar levels. You know when you get to 3 o'clock in the arvo and you kind of open the Tim Tam drawer and you're like, I'll just have one, and then the whole packet goes. Cinnamon will help you just have one little treat as opposed to going back for more and more because it balances your blood sugar levels. So a pinch of cinnamon goes in. I like it really cinnamony, so I often find myself going back with quite a lot of cinnamon. A brownie wouldn't be a brownie unless it had chocolate in it, right? So 1/4 cup of raw cacao powder is going in here. So raw cacao powder on its own is really bitter and not that delicious on its own, which is why the dates and the next ingredient, maple syrup, are gonna make it taste really delicious and sweet and chocolatey. Now, if you don't want to use maple syrup, totally fine to use honey. You could use rice malt syrup to sweeten. You could hold the maple and use extra dates, or hold the dates and use more maple. I just like this combination of flavors. We're gonna go in here and make it, I guess, even more superfoody by adding goji berries. The reason why I also love adding goji berries is because it gives a nice little flavor and pop of color too. They're kind of like little crystals or gems that you find in your brownie. I'm saving a little bit here because I'm gonna give two options with topping your brownie with goji berries and chopped up almonds as well. Almonds are going in here. If you don't like almonds, pecans, walnuts. I made this recipe last night. I used macadamia nuts. Whatever you've got at home, cashews would be lovely. Do try and use raw nuts because they're considered like the healthiest of the nuts. Whenever I make something sweet, I put a little pinch of salt in. It tends to bring the flavor out really nicely. And then all I've done here is melted down some coconut oil. So we're gonna go in there with him. And you can just melt him on a stovetop. If you're really running out of time, of course, microwave will do the trick too. Okay, if you don't melt your coconut oil down, it's just way harder to mix this mixture in. All right, so there's our coconut oil. So you just want to start mixing him up. It kind of looks a bit Christmassy actually, because you've got your green kale going on there, you've got your red goji berry. There's no real rules with any of my recipes. I always say make this work for you. Last night when I was making this and really having a play with it, I put macadamia nut butter in it, just 1/4 cup. You could totally spike it with that. You could use almond butter, ABC butter. There's no rules. If you've been to the gym, this recipe also works with 2 added extra eggs. All of my raw treat, or this isn't a raw recipe, but all of my sweet recipes, you can kind of muck with them and make them, tailor them to suit you and your needs. So we've got 3 eggs going in here as well. Then we're gonna give him a good old mix up. So it looks kind of, I wanna say rustic right now, but you can, I like that. This is what excites me. Like, I like it a bit, I don't know, chunky and rustic, and yeah, I think that's kind of what makes it special. So there's our mixture there. All we're gonna do now is put him on my baking tray, tip him into my baking tray. So we're gonna scoop the mixture out. So I've just lined this baking tray here. So we're just gonna scoop him out. And then I'm just gonna top it with, oh, this is so yum. Making myself jealous, or FOMO. Is FOMO, yeah. I don't want to miss out. Not that I am, because I'm making it, so I will get to enjoy it. All right. So you just want to lay him out, flatten him out. Now this is a really big baking tray, so I'm not going to use all of it. I'll show you what I'm going to do to make sure that it works. I like my brownies quite thick and chunky. If you want them a little bit more thinner and really smooth, all you have to do is, instead of mixing in a bowl like this, use a food processor. It's just gonna make it really, a really smooth consistency. Again, no rules. This is how you like to enjoy it, right? So, I've spread him out. And then what I do, so you can see this is a bigger baking tray than what I need, so I just fold my baking paper up. And you can put a knife or a fork in here to make it stay, but it should just hold itself because it's quite a thick mixture. I just fold my baking, make like a little wall. So, topping options. One topping option is gonna be chopped up almonds. And on the almond one, I am gonna put a little bit of sea salt. You totally don't have to, just because salt does bring out the sweetness. Another one, we're gonna use goji berries. Goji berries, when they bake, go really nice and roasted too, and kind of puff up a little bit. And then on this last little panel, I'm gonna be really cute and kind of put some little kale leafies along the top, because they're just so pretty and cute, and they kind of look like fairy trees. So yeah, and then we're just gonna bake it. I say 25 minutes, but I like mine really gooey and mushy and kind of like caramelly, so I end up baking mine for a bit less. So it depends how you like yours. So if you like yours gooey and caramelly like me, check them at 15 minutes and pull it out if it still looks a bit gooey in just the middle section. If you're like, no mate, no, that's not my flavor taste bud lower, then you can cook it all the way to 20 to 25 minutes. So you just keep checking on him and you'll be able to tell, because it'll just look perfect and golden on the top. And the good thing, we've got the goji berries there because they kind of go golden, almost a little bit brown, and look a bit roasted when they're done. And the kale leaves are gonna look really cute as well. They look so cute all laid up on top. So all we're gonna do now, the oven's set at 180. So there you have it, last little leafy on there. I'm gonna pop him in. So there you have it. This is a really easy, a delicious, healthy treat, which sneaks in a total superfood greenie in there. The reason why kalettes work so well in this recipe is because they have this sweet, nutty flavor. These guys are available exclusively at Coles, and I cannot wait to tuck on in to this delicious treat.